Hello. So we'll find out in a moment if people are have gotten the notification that I'm going live. I need to post it one or two other places really quickly. This is not mirrored, y'all. It's backwards right now, so I don't know if everything I show is going to show up right, but we'll see. Let's see. I need to go to Twitter really quick. Um, okay, that's not going to work. Okay. All right. Okay. I think I have some people who have joined. If you have joined, please say hello in the chat. Let me know you're here. And today I wanted to talk about a few things. So, yeah, my room is a mess, y'all. I saw a quote recently on a podcast. It was in part of the description for the podcast. The podcast is Creative Pep Talk, I think is what it's called. But one of the things that he said in the description, I haven't watched all of the pep talk and I didn't want it to influence. Hello, it's a fellow Inky. Hello. So one of the things in the pep talk that it said was the further you get in your career, the easier it is to get stage fright. Yet you will only do your best work if you can show up in the moment unafraid of voicing your ideas and true opinions, to have the courage to bring your real ideas to the table. In order to do that, I've had to let go of a lot of my preconceived ideas, preconceived goals, things that were goals that weren't really authentic to me. I've also had to sort of reset my focus. And I am going to do the flip through. Patreon will get it first, but for now, I'm just going to talk. I have taken what's in. Hello. I have a new patron, a couple of new patrons. This was my very first Janelli fish. It is my writer's Bible, actually, but I have revamped a few things. My 100-day project is restarting today. So in 100 days, which will end July 29th, I am going to streamline a few things. I'm going to get back my focus. I'm going to do some of the things that I have kind of put off. I'm going to, like I said, I'm resetting my focus. I evaluated some of my goals, and some of those goals weren't my goals. They were goals I thought I should have, or goals that other people had that seemed like they'd be good goals for me to do too. Some of the goals were preconceived notions that I thought, okay, I'm supposed to be doing this. But, I'm only supposed to be doing the things that actually work for me. So if you saw the Creative Bullet Journal, Omni Journal flip through, you recognize this. Well, hello, anxiety. Anxiety and OCD do not work well without a guideline to do spreads and any kind of layout that requires a specific guideline. Now, I could, like other people, use painter's tape or use a ruler or use something. And I did try that. And some of they look gorgeous. Some of the things look gorgeous, but then other things, yeah, it's going to show backwards. If it's showing backwards mirrored, y'all let me know. But if I do that, then what I've been having to do odd, but your red journals give you momentary anxiety. You can't explain it. Just a copy. I'm sorry. What I've had to do is take dot grid pages from old notebooks that still had some paper in it to do it on. And I don't want to glue so many pages in here that this becomes a huge, chunky monkey. Thanks, Hilma. Red for some people is an anxiety color. For me, red is a passion, go get 'em kind of color. I love red. Purple is more of a soothing, calming color. But that dark purple in my other room was not a soothing or a dark or a calming color for me. That was such a dark purple that it was actually anxiety ridden for me. It did not calm me. Being in this room calms me. The red inspires and motivates me. So things were working really well. What this gave me was a sense of freedom and a liberation to start watercoloring the affirmation cards, to do some of my planning. But the OCD kicked in and the anxiety kicked in, and I couldn't focus for all of the anxiety. So I talked about this in Patreon, and I've this whole week been bombarded with anxiety trying to do spreads. Well, finally I said, you know what? I'm going to go with where I'm being led to go. And I had done this journal a long while back, and I stopped it in January. I think I started at the end of October. So what I've done is, this is today's page. This will be tomorrow's. These are some ideas that I had. This will be Sunday's page. And then this is next week's setup. And then I have a few blank pages for next week. And then I have May. And May is going to be music themed because it's Mr. Rockstar's birth month. And I've been setting up May, and this is my dot grid enigma. This is the blank enigma. This helped me get back into omni journaling. And this is my writer's Bible. So my writer stuff's not in here right now. And then this is the insert that has a lot of project self in it. So I've put aside the bullet journals, the Loystroms. I've put aside some of the other travelers' notebooks. And I have the insert for project self and my omni journal in here. You're finally here. Yay! And because I don't have the writer stuff in the writer bullet journal, hello, Barbara, I am using the Hobonichi for my writerly planning stuff. Why not take advantage of it? Why not go back to putting my word count on these pages where it has this, where I was doing tracking, use the calendar for events that's coming up for writing, use the weekly spread, which I've not really taken advantage of, and already has little coffee stickers on it for my planning for writing, and then use the daily pages for how my writing went and write down any ideas that I come up with, because I have a notebook that I actually am writing in, and I have a pretty good outline. I could put the outline in here if I need to, but I have a notebook I can look at for the outline. So Hobonichi writerly stuff. I've reset like a whole bunch of stuff. I'm getting back to, you're trying to figure out what to do with your Hobonichi cousin. Well, I tried to figure it out. I thought maybe I could do self-care. I have the Hobonichi weeks for self-care though. I just need to remember to use it. This is now back to what it was, only I've added stuff. So it will be for Patreon, for creative projects, for PDFs, for watercoloring daily, those affirmation cards, and things like that. I like the daily planning in the Hobonichi, but it's still, there's something about, I don't know what I'm doing. I like, I wish I could journal, do in every single notebook, every single journal, every single Hobonichi, all of it every day. I wish I could. I would if I could. But I'm finding myself spread out too thin. And then when I get spread out too thin, then I get overwhelmed and I get stressed out. And I don't want to be overwhelmed and stressed out anymore. And I don't want to be not authentic to myself anymore. So I'm going to, for the next 100 days, you don't like the weeks. I like the weeks for an everyday carry, and I like the weeks for some things, but I find because as an everyday carry, it stays in my purse. I work from home. I live here. I live and breathe and everything here. So I have to get out of the house more. I haven't gotten out of the house enough. Um, I haven't been living my life enough. I've been stuck in the pages of journals. I've been stuck behind a camera. I've been stuck trying to get work done. And I realized that if I don't have anything to document, if I'm not living enough in the moment, and documenting after, then there's not really enough of me to do what I really need to do creatively. So I've been living more in the moment. And I did take some of that time because I had to, because of the depression and the anxiety and the grief over that week or two. And I've been hit or miss lately with social media, but the getting out of the depression, I finally got the newsletter done and I talked about a lot of it. And that gave me a breath of fresh air. So I knew I had to get my head out of the journal and away from being in front of the camera or behind, and be more mindful so I could figure out some kind of balance between documenting my creative process and my creative life and actually living my creative life and being creative and living the regular part of my life too. How much time do I spend being creative? A whole lot of time. That's my job. It's what I do. So I'm creative every single day. This has now become personal stuff, all personal stuff. My morning pages, my ideas, my vent, my evening pages, anything and everything that's personal is now in here. I haven't done anything in my sketchbook, my urban sketch, plain air sketch notebook since March. I haven't done anything in it. I've been sketching other places, but nothing in this. You're working on characters and you've already have 10 chapters planned out. Can't wait for Nana. How do you handle stress while being creative? That's one of the things I'm talking about, Katrina, is handling stress. This is my document my day art journal, and I have approximately about 3 weeks left in this journal. So over the next 100 days, I'm on a no spend. I'm on a no spend, one, because it's mandatory, because I have a ton of dental work to do that's really expensive, and I also need new glasses. Right now I can't get new glasses because of all the dental work I have to get done, and it's getting to the point where my glasses over here are so scratched up it's getting hard to see out of. So spending money on things I don't need is absolutely out of the question. One of the few things I'm going to allow myself over the next 100 days is to order another notebook from Bree. And that'll be one of the few expenditures. Participating in Use It or Lose It, it's sort of the same kind of concept as going what is it? Going deep, expanding what you already have instead of buying more things. I'm not buying more things. I have a ton of things that I forgot I had, like stencils and all kinds of things. I'm like, I don't have any. Yeah, I do. I just didn't know where they were at. And I thought they had either gotten thrown away or had given them back to my daughter, because some of them were my daughter's. So I've redone my setup. And another thing I realized is I have to be authentic to me. I think better creatively and am more outside of the box thinking when I do things myself, when I use what I have or I utilize what I have, or I think, okay, I can't afford to buy this, so let me figure out another way to do it, a less expensive way to do it, or a budget-friendly way to do it. If I can't get that actual product, which is more expensive, maybe I can create something very similar on my own. And that kind of thinking has been sort of hit or miss the last year or so, because I got so caught up in the shiny, pretty, fancy things. You've been focused on granny squares for a month now, and before that, 6 weeks on a striped Afghan. At least the grannies I don't plan. So I'm choosing colors and we'll decide how to assemble. I'm not getting anything else done. Yeah. See, that's the thing is I was concentrating so much on some things. I wasn't doing other things. And then in the back of my mind, when it came to art and writing, I was so focused on some things artistically, arty. I wasn't putting enough focus on the writing. I didn't have enough of balance because in the back of my mind was like, well, I don't have time to do all of this. There's no way I could do all of this. So I'm focused on this instead of this. And that was my own limited thinking. So I said, you know what? Let's get rid of the limited thinking. Let's get rid of these negative concepts of these ideas that I have in my head that are limiting me. And let's get rid of the ideas that are other people's. And let's break all the things down and reevaluate what some of my goals are. Are these goals authentically mine? Or are they goals that I've heard about? Are they goals that work for other people that I thought might work for me? Are they focuses that work for other people and I thought they might work for me? One of the things that's really helped me has been Miracle Morning because I am doing it on my own schedule. Sometimes I go to sleep late and sometimes I go to sleep early. And Mr. Rockstar's schedule shifts. He's on what's called a rotating shift. So he works nights sometimes, he works days sometimes. And my schedule tends to shift with some of that. So I've been getting outside more. I've been living my life more, which actually gives me more fodder for creativity because if you can either be stuck in the book or writing the book, or you can do a bit of both. I've been stuck in the book and only writing bits and pieces of the book. I haven't actually been writing as much of my own story as I ought to be. I've been too busy reading the story or too busy showing the story. And I had to find some kind of balance between living a creative life and being a creative life. And I think that's been my problem is when the grief hit me, when the depression hit me, I either couldn't journal or I couldn't create art or I couldn't write and I could only focus on certain things or I was so focused on doing all of the things that I didn't have to really breathe in and breathe out the grief or breathe in and breathe out what was really bothering me about like my journals or my planning or any of those things. Do I write outside? I do write outside, and I've been going out in the mornings as soon as it gets nice enough for me to go out in the mornings with a cup of coffee and sitting on my picnic table and doing a bit of silence and a little bit of meditation. Sometimes I take my journal out. Sometimes I take my notebook out where I write for my novel. Sometimes I take my journal in a quick watercolor palette with a water brush and I do a little bit of stuff out there. I find that the more I can get outside, the better I feel lately. And that's because of the depression. That's because of the depression. But I have to be authentic to me. And I think I've kind of been stuck in that mindset of, okay, am I doing things really based on what works for me? And some of it wasn't based on what works for me. It was based on what I thought might work for me. So I'm back in an Omni Journal and I'm back. I've realized that as much as I like Leuchtturm, especially lined Leuchtturm for personal journaling, I don't like vanilla colored paper. I like white colored paper. And as much as I like the freedom of the blank page to sketch with and to watercolor on, I don't like blank paper for creating spreads or writing on. I need grid or dot grid or line to actually write. So I needed some kind of happy medium, and I was stressing myself out over things. Yeah, Leuchtturm paper. I like the paper. Don't get me wrong. I just don't like vanilla color paper. Every other batch of Enigmas are vanilla colored. They're cream. I like the white ones. Um, and the color gets on my nerves. And maybe that's OCD, maybe that's my anxiety, maybe that's being picky or nitpicky, but I just realized that it's not something I like, and it affects me. Some of the other things that affect me, and I feel like for a long time I got on my own nerves about it because I thought I was being too nitpicky. I thought I was being a bit ridiculous about it. But if I'm going to spend my money on a journal, I'm going to spend my pretty good amount of money on a journal, and the Leustrums have gotten pretty expensive, then I might as well be tossing my money in the trash because I'm going to get about a fourth of the way through it. And then that vanilla colored, cream colored paper is going to get on my nerves because I don't like it. I really just don't like it. yeah, yeah, you like what you like. One of the other things is that I've realized I'm not really an insert person. I'm a notebook person. I don't want a whole bunch of folios though. Like I have two of them. I have the one the Hobonichi's in, and then I have these two. These are like folios. They're notebook covers. I like the notebook covers, but then if I were to put a notebook cover on every single notebook I use, I'd have a big, huge stack of them. So hello. So I like the idea of putting a couple of notebooks in traveler's notebooks. So I end up with a stack of traveler's notebooks. But at least with the traveler's notebooks, usually I can fit at least two good sized notebooks in. Some of the other things I've realized is that I need to quit worrying about what I'm not doing and start patting myself on the back for the things that I am doing. Self-sabotage when you are a creative, especially if you are a creative who suffers from anxiety, depression, or ADHD, or all of the above, or any of those mental illnesses that can affect your creativity, is rough. It's rough because we oftentimes get caught up in the anxiety or the depression or the ADHD, and then we lose our focus. And we end up sabotaging ourselves without even realizing it. And I hit on something for myself recently that made me realize that if truth be told, I've gotten past the bulk of my creative block, that slump that I'd been in, but I had to give myself a kick in the butt. I had to have what my grandma used to call a sit down with Jesus moment. And otherwise, I was going to end up sabotaging myself again and falling down that rabbit hole of the creative resistance, or worse, more self-sabotage. And rather than kind of destroy that momentum that I've had recently, getting back into journaling and omni-journaling and getting back into writing, but if I didn't do something, I was going to end up allowing those pesky and I say that, saboteurs like fear, paralysis analysis, comparison, and self-doubt, and they were going to rear their ugly heads again. And instead of letting myself end up in that space, that mind space, I could take that proverbial bull by the horns and motivate myself by holding myself accountable. And the best way to hold yourself accountable, if you're somebody like me, is to publicly announce a goal. You know, I'm motivated internally by helping others, and that helps me help myself. Excuse me. The more I can help somebody else, even if it's just one person, the more creative I am. Externally, I'm motivated by the end result of my creativity, but I'm also motivated by the wonderful comments that I receive by a lot of you, either via comments on videos or comments on Patreon or comments via email or comments on Facebook in the groups. And part of that's because inspiring and motivating other people brings me joy, and it motivates and inspires me to keep going, to keep on doing, even when showing up is really hard, even when talking about things like depression and anxiety and ADHD and my lack of focus and the grief that really hit me hard in spurts. Figuring out what motivates me the most was something that was hard to do. And I realized that being creative and talking about the creative process gives me energy and enthusiasm, especially if it helps somebody else, especially if I'm inspiring and motivating somebody else. It's one of the surefire ways to help me stay on course and to help me stay focused. So that ugly self-defeating monster called self-doubt, that causes sometimes that creative paralysis. It causes me to lack the confidence to follow through. It and shuts down my creativity. The best thing I could think of to help beat that self-doubt, um, because up until recently, I've been faking it until I'm making it. Fake it until I make it. If I was depressed, I just faked that I wasn't depressed. If I was struggling, I was like, well, I talk about the struggle some, but I didn't embrace all of my authenticity. I didn't accept that I've been through the ringer lately and my focus has been off. I've only accepted it to a certain extent. But I've struggled. And the more I've struggled, sometimes the harder it's been. But being motivated internally and externally has really been helpful. Okay. Oh, you love my coffee cup? It came from Dollar General. Um, so I found that, okay, what's the best way for me to be my authentic self? To talk about some of the real things, like being so tempted by all the fancies and the pretties, that instead of doing what I love, I'm thinking about what some other people have or what some other people are doing. Or I'm thinking about the fact that I don't have this. So what can I do? If I use what I have and I inspire and motivate my own self to be more creative with what I do have already, and start thinking about the things that I can do and the things that I have done, and I think positively, and I go, okay, well, you know what? I don't have this, but I do have this. And so let's try this. I have a lot of supplies. And some of these supplies were things I got super excited about, but haven't really used much because I've been so involved in using this or using that or what I don't have. And to be honest, I can't afford to buy everything that comes out that I want to try or that looks pretty or that looks interesting. I can't afford all of that. Camp NaNoWriMo is going okay. I'm doing pretty good. I'm not that far away from my goal. I just have been busy writing and not busy on social media. Um, I've been busy trying to create the stuff that I need to create for YouTube and Patreon and to get back in a mind space, which is what this is really about, is getting back into that mind space of, hey, I'm a creative person. I am creative every single day in a variety of ways. And part of this can be documented. Part of this needs to be experienced in the moment, and to differentiate between what can be experienced in the moment that will give me creative fodder to do things that I can document that can be shared. And I've realized that the only way to really be authentic is to talk about the whole struggle, not just part of the struggle. So part of the struggle has been that I have been not lived enough in the moment. Part of the struggle is that I've been too focused on what I don't have. I've been too focused on what I can't do or what I feel like I can't do, because I can do a lot of things. I just don't always feel like I'm good at it, or I don't feel like I'm good enough to share it, or I don't feel like anybody would really want to see it. And that's why I started out this thing with that quote about, um, the further you get in your career, the easier it is to get stage fright. And then it says, having the courage to bring your real ideas to the table. So my real idea was to be a rebel and to restart the 100-day project, even though it's 17 days in. And I failed the first attempt when I was going to post every day to Instagram. I realized posting every day to Instagram is not really one of my goals. I post to Instagram sometimes, but that's not my big goal. I mean, I like Instagram, okay, but Instagram isn't my big love. But the Facebook groups My Facebook group, YouTube, my blog, and Patreon are my loves. My tribe is my big love. Being creative in a whole bunch of different ways because I am just a creative person. I love a DIY project. There's nothing to me like a DIY project. And the only thing that really comes close um, is journaling. You'll take Instagram over Facebook. See, to me, Instagram only pops up some things. I can rearrange Facebook notifications so that I get actual notifications for the people that I really want to get notifications from. Instagram tends to post what is most popular, and you have to use hashtags. Facebook, you don't have to use hashtags. Instagram is more for people who have pretty cell phones that work really well and take really pretty pictures. I don't have a cell phone that takes really pretty pictures. I have a crap cell phone. My tablet takes pretty good pictures, but I don't have my tablet with me all the time. And my tablet doesn't go online unless I have Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi, or my own Wi-Fi. So I don't take pictures like that. Like a lot of people who use their phones like that. I don't use my phone for anything except talking and texting. I don't have my phone set up for anything because it's a really cheap $20 prepaid Net10 phone. I don't like the phone. I like my tablet. I love my tablet. So I've just got to get better at taking more pictures with my tablet. A lot of pictures I actually take with my camera and then save them to Google Photos, and then I will upload them from my tablet from Google Photos into Instagram, or from my computer through an app onto Instagram. But I like Facebook because I've deleted I've actually unsubscribed to a bunch of groups that I hardly ever even pay attention to because I'm so busy doing everything else. I'm so busy doing everything else, trying to get YouTube and Patreon and the blog and the Facebook group, that I don't have time to interact with a whole bunch of different groups. There's an app through Google. I'll tell you what it is. It's called Tools for Instagram, and it's an extension through Google because I have a PC. I don't have a Mac. My tablet's a Samsung Galaxy tablet, but it's called Tools for Instagram. Now, it doesn't let you edit and stuff the way that you can with your phone or your tablet, so you have to edit the picture before you ever put it towards that app to put it in Instagram. And that doesn't allow you to do multiple pictures the way that, so I find it easier to use my tablet for all of the things that most people use their phone for. But for the really pretty pictures, or for quick, because most of the time, all the pictures I take end up to my desktop, my actual PC. So sometimes I'll edit the picture. I don't know. I'm never going to be one of those people who's on Instagram or YouTube or Facebook or Patreon, for that matter, who has the perfect photos. What you see, this is my creative life. This is, sometimes I'll put down something over my desk, a big piece of white drawing paper, and I'll take a picture. Sometimes I take a picture on the red desk or the red craft table, or sometimes I take a picture on my coffee table, but and sometimes I try to kind of lay them out where they look kind of pretty. But I don't know. I'm not a perfectionist in that way. I think they're really pretty, those pictures on Instagram and the pictures on Facebook and the videos on YouTube that have that sort of white background and the perfect kind of thing and the perfect background and setup and all of that. I think they're pretty, but that takes a lot of time that I could be utilizing to be creative. So instead of spending a whole bunch of time setting up something or whatever, I could actually be using that time to write my novel, or I could actually be using that time to set up a spread in the journal, or I could actually be journaling, or I could actually be outside sketching, or I could be walking. I could be editing a video. because that's what takes me the longest. It takes me longer to edit a video than it takes me to do anything else because I'm not good at it, because it's not something that anybody's taught me. I've had to learn through trial and error, and I'm slow at it. So my nephews and stuff, they probably, by the time my grandson, who's in kindergarten now, probably gets into like the 3rd or 4th grade, he'll probably be able to do a whole lot of that technology stuff way quicker than I do, because we didn't have that kind of stuff when I was growing up. And unless I were to take a class at the high school at night or at the college at night or something, I am not going to be really good at it. So I've gotten good enough at editing a video to have a simple edited video that is pretty decent. And that's all I need to do, really. I mean, I can do a little bit extra now. So bottom line, what do you really want to do first every day? When I wake up in the morning, other than stretching, the very first thing I want to do is to journal for like at least 10 minutes and have my cup of coffee. I just journal, get the gunk out, get like that brain vomit that gets that crap out of my head so that I can focus. And that has to do with the ADHD. That helps me. If I have a much better day when I can do that. I don't do 4 pages anymore for morning pages. I just write I set a timer, drink my cup of coffee, and set a timer for 15 minutes. And usually before the 15 minutes is up, I've written a page, and that's all I do. And I set the timer now for 15 to 20 minutes of reading, like something in one of the self-help kind of books, like You're a Badass, or the morning pages, not the morning pages, what is it called? The Miracle Morning. And there are a couple of other books, and I'll read for 10 or 15 minutes. And then once I can journal for 10 or 15 minutes, and then I can read for 10 or 15 minutes, then I'm in a good headspace. I've kind of covered the 2 things I love the most, which are journaling and reading. And then I can get to the big thing I love the most, which is either art or writing. So I was doing so much that I didn't have time to read. I felt like I didn't have time. I felt like in the back of my head, I didn't have time to read. I was too busy doing everything else, or I was too busy doing, and well, I just cut the timer on, so that's not good. I know I've had to make some changes. When Mr. Rockstar tells me, baby, I never see you, you're always back there, it's time for me to make some changes. When I'm so busy and I have so many things to do that I can't make time to spend with my family or with Victor, who's the big spend time with person other than Mr. Rockstar, and my mom, then I know it's time to make some changes. And I know a part of it was because I was evading and avoiding dealing with some of the grief. Some of the grief just needed to come over time, and I needed to put it off for a little bit because I went through a lot, and it was really hard. I didn't realize how traumatic losing my dad and coming that close to losing my mom was, but it was very traumatic, and I didn't want to deal with all of that. So I put it off, and I got really busy doing a whole bunch of things, and anything that I could do, what some of this time has actually taught me is that the only way to create balance in your life is to start out with, getting some of the things that you need to do that are absolutely necessities to eat the frog, to get those done first and foremost and get them out of the way. But then add in some of the things that you're going to put off that you really want to do for yourself, and to do some of those things in that same manner. Because if you are so busy that, doing dishes or cleaning the house or doing outside work or inside work or whatever, or creative work, that you don't have time to do the things that you really love, then you're going to miss out too. Balancing for me has been about getting the things I have to get done, and also getting things for myself done. Otherwise, I'll never do things for myself. I'll end up doing all the other things that I need to do that are eat the frog things, and then I'll never do things for myself, which is part of the reason why there's not been anything in this journal since March, is because I haven't made time for myself. Not in certain ways, I haven't. I've been doing what I felt like were the need to do things. Yeah, do stuff for yourself first. I didn't let, well, some people knew how close a call it was with my mom. I had both parents in ICU. Only one had just passed away in the same day. If I had not rushed my mom downstairs to the ER from the ICU, if I had not made the call to leave my kids with my dad to take his last breath and run and rush to take my mom downstairs to the ER, I wouldn't have my mom right now. Me too, Helma. Me too. Getting into my head. Yeah, that's analysis paralysis. um, and every time I see my mom now, I feel like blessed that I have her. And having the anniversary of my real daddy's death at the beginning of this month really kind of threw me into a tailspin, because that date's always really hard for me. I mean, it's been 40 something years, but it's still hard. 43 years it was. It never goes away, but it's always like usually it's a really bad day for me on the 4th of April. And this year it was really hard because I was mourning my dad's death. Then I'm mourning my daddy's death all over again. I'm mourning both fathers, my daddy and my dad. And then I started thinking overthinking that getting into my head too much. You could have been I could have been mourning my mom too. I could have been, oh my God, I could have been mourning my mom too. And that was the anxiety. The anxiety kicked in and I almost had a panic attack. The anxiety was so bad. And then because the anxiety kicked in, all of that, the depression got worse. So my depression was enough for me to kind of keep it sort of a lid on it. But you know what happens when you put a lid on something that's boiling? you know, if you leave the temperature too high, it's going to boil over. And that's what happened with me, is that the depression just boiled over and it hit me really hard. And I think that's because I have been so busy on certain areas of project self, certain areas of myself, that I've let other things go. I've let other things go. And I've been worried and stressed out. I've been feeling really self-conscious about not having back teeth on the bottom. I'm really self-conscious about that. It makes me talk a little funny right now. You stayed in bed for a month. Yeah. I went through a depression like that. And I knew last week the other week when the depression was really bad, that if I didn't do something, I was going to end up in that kind of mind state. And I started with one little thing, and one little step led to another little step and another little step and another little step. So I could pull myself out of it, because when you are diagnosed with depression, like that, makes it very difficult. And my daughter asked me about that. And the things that save me are accountability to others. I'm much more likely to do stuff if it's about other people than I am for myself. I'm much more likely to do things for other people than I am for myself. And I know this about myself. And it helps. It helps, when you can say, okay, somebody else needs you, and you can get up and go motivate yourself to get up and go take a shower, motivate yourself to do some journaling, motivate yourself, and I decided, I kind of kept to myself. I have not done videos like I need to, but I needed some time to sort of revamp my goals because I knew some of those goals weren't really mine. And I needed some time to step outside of myself um, with the focus and go, okay, what is really important? What do you feel like is the big thing right now that you need to be doing? And how can you share that? And how can you feel good about what you're doing? And I revamped the traveler's notebooks. I revamped my setup. I'm not buying anything because I can't afford to. Um, so I can get the dental work done and get myself some new glasses. Those are two big priorities. And I don't think there's anything that I technically need so much so that um, it warrants me purchasing any kind of new supply or anything other than something that's actually a necessity. Um, so I've given myself a 100-day, uh, my 100-day project, which starts today. And I'm late and I'm a rebel and I'm breaking rules and I don't care, is to say, okay, what can I do for me for my 100-day project to one, hold myself accountable, to two, make it fun, to make this more about things that are authentic to me. And that's to use what I have, to utilize what I have, to make things more creative um, in a way that I enjoy. And I enjoy doing creative things. So one of the few things I'll allow myself to buy over the next 100 days is a new journal because, like I said, this journal's going to run out in like 3 weeks. Maybe ink cartridges for my printer, that kind of thing, but I'm not buying any new notebooks. I'm not buying anything else. Writing always works, but getting my butt into the chair, hard to let go of my computer. Yeah. And see, that's the thing. If you paid attention, I haven't really been on social media much. I've been posting a little bit to my Facebook group, but I haven't been on social media much. I haven't been. There are quite a few YouTube videos I need to catch up on. I will catch up on them as I can when I can, but I'm no longer spending an immense amount of time on social media. Um, I am watching some YouTube videos and I'm watching the people that I am patron of on Patreon. I did just let go of one of the people I was a patron of for financial reasons. Um, I haven't been to Starbucks. Um, I think some things I needed to kind of let go of, and other things can be a reward for when I finish the 100-day project. So my 100-day project, part of it is to sketch, whether it's urban sketching or plein air sketching, in here once a week over the next 100 days. Simple, not a hard goal, simple goal. I should be able to do this anyway. You need a stocking system for all your supplies. You don't know what you have and could use instead of buying new stuff. Exactly. That's what I was saying. I mean, I found when I've been cleaning up and reorganizing my space in here, I found supplies that I forgot I had that I bought like 2.5 years ago when I first started doing the Foganichi journal that I forgot I had. To journal every day in my art journal, document your life journal. To do personal journaling in the morning and in the evening for at least 10 to 15 minutes every day. That's a total of 20 to 30 minutes out of my day, first thing in the morning and last thing in the evening. Easy, not complicated, nothing major. I'm going to be doing all my planning in here, and I'm going to do little bits of creativity for the bullet journal stuff, but I'm not going to make it super complicated. I'm not going to make my spread super complicated for each week. I did this while I was at my in-laws. And, I mean, I'm going to still be creative, but I'm not going to make it all about any one thing, but I am taking notes. Like I wrote down the quote from the podcast right here for the coffee chat, and then there's my to-do list. I mean, nothing complicated. Enough of a little creative spurt in the Omni Journal with the planner bullet journal thing so that I can feel good, so that it puts me in the right headspace, but not so complicated and not so, oh my God, that I feel like I'm not living up to somebody else's standard, because in the back of my head, I've made myself this preconceived notion of what a bullet journal or an Omni journal or a document your day journal or any kind of anything, or my writing or my videos or the pictures I post on Instagram or anything else. It's not about those preconceived notions anymore. If I do it, I'm doing it because I love it. I'm doing it because I like it. I'm doing it because it's something I want to do, I love to do, because it will inspire and motivate somebody else, or because it inspires and motivates me. I feel like the more I do things that inspire and motivate me, and the more creative I am naturally, that organically, the more I will be able to inspire and motivate others, because people pick up on that. When you are doing something because you love it, people pick up on it much better, I think, than when you're doing something because that's what everybody else seems to want or does. I will. That's why I said I'll never have those bullet journal videos or the uh, day in the life videos or the pictures on Instagram or any of that that are sure to like pop up, boom in popularity, because I'd rather be authentic, and I'd rather grow slow and steady. Um, it's a creative journey, and I'm sharing the creative process and journey. So some of it's going to be good, and some of it's going to be kind of, oh my God, I can't believe that I did this. Or, oh my gosh, I can't believe that I didn't do that. Why didn't I do that? Why didn't I realize that 6 months ago? You know? So, one of the very things I love about Cindy Quintart Baldo is that she's just her, uncensored, you know, she's just her. One of my favorite things about some of the other YouTuber people that I follow that I love are the people who are authentic. Um, so I think that that's the thing for me right now is the journey and sharing it authentically. Are you going to do Cindy's book club? I don't have the book, Barbara, and I'm on a no spend, so I can't buy the book. I would love to have the book, and I would love to do the book club. I have probably enough affiliate money coming to me that I might be able to get the book. If I can, with the Amazon affiliate money, I will. Happy 420. Okay. Thank you. Um, I think that's what it's really about, for me. Um, is I love, 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 love reading and creativity. So if you're talking about a book that's about it, reading a book that's about creativity is the perfect thing. So Cindy's book club is right up my alley. The book that she's chosen is right up my alley. I just can't buy anything right now. There's like 3 Stephen King books I want to buy that are on my to buy list. There are, yeah, they had a really good sale on, I don't remember where it was, whether it was Jet Pens or it was somewhere that had Goulet pens. Somebody had this. Goulet pens had a flex pen right when I went on the no spend. And it's not like I'm doing the no spend because I want to do a no spend. I'm doing the no spend because I have to do the no spend. I have to get this dental work done, and it's going to cost right at $1,000. We've already put about $600 into my mouth. What's left is about $1,000 worth. I just went to the dentist, and then I went and rescheduled my dental appointment. I was supposed to go back this past Monday and didn't go, and rescheduled it for the end of this month. Simply because I don't have enough to do all of the work, and you have to have at least half of it up front. you know, Unfortunately, and I have to have new glasses. So unless I can get the book at the library, some of that stuff's not going to happen. In my library, the books here, it takes them like 3 or 4 months to come to get some of the books that a lot of libraries have. You have the Miracle Morning for Writers. cannot find the basics are the same. I have both. I have the Miracle Morning for Writers on it on Kindle. When it was only 99 cents, I got a deal. And I think that was last year or the year before I bought it. And it was like 99 cents. And I got the Miracle Morning used. So it was only like $3.59. So, you'll become a Buddhist monk in 2 months. My friend Maya is a Buddhist. I like a lot of the Buddhist theology. I like, well, the Buddhist stuff, I should say, because it's not Buddhism's not technically a religion. It's a way of life. So theology would be wrong to say, I think. But yeah, I feel like I'm in a good space now. I feel like it's been a long time coming to cut back on some of the things and to embrace some of the other things, you know. I've been realizing that some of my I've been realizing that some of what I really want to do for the journal with me's and the plan with me's and the creative journaling wasn't what I was doing. Like I was doing some of it and I would do it. But then when I did do it, I would question myself because I thought, well, that video is not very good. Or that's not really, people aren't really going to watch that, you know, and then you start second guessing yourself, you know, and I let anxiety win, that paralysis analysis, you know, and I started feeling a ton of self-doubt over every single thing I was doing, every single video I made, every single page I drew. And a lot of that was the anxiety and the depression. A lot of that was the anxiety and the depression. So the last few weeks, that's one of the reasons I haven't had very much content because of the depression and the anxiety. So I've had to get past some of that. So I did a coffee chat for Patreon and I did it a little bit differently. And that made me feel a lot better. And I think sometimes when I do some of the videos, yeah, anxiety and depression, a lot of it can be healed through meditation. I cannot still my ADHD brain enough yet to completely get in a meditative state. So I find ways that work for me with meditation. You issue when it's second guess yourself. Absolutely love your videos and writing. They mean a lot to me. Thank you. Thank you. Part of the problem I found with my ADHD brain is that I fight that, and instead of fighting the ADHD, I recently have found ways to sort of work around it so that I can embrace the fact that, hey, you know, this is going to be hard for me. So find something that does work. And walking outside, if you are a patron, then you know that when you watch the video when I did part of the coffee chat outside, that I was like just in awe and completely embraced and felt meditative. You could tell the difference. Walking outside for me, getting a breath of fresh air, listening to the birds sing is very meditative for me. It's one of the few things that really clears my mind enough to not feel the ADHD and the anxiety. It clears my mind enough where I get as close to a real meditative state as there's going to be. So I found myself doing that every day, every day. In the morning, I try to do it when the weather's nice. I get outside with my cup of coffee. Sometimes I take my journal and I do the 10 minutes of writing out there in the quiet. And then sometimes I only just embrace the quiet and have my cup of coffee. Sometimes I draw. Sometimes I take my sketchbook and I draw. It really depends on the mood. But if I can just get outside for a good 10 minutes when the weather's nice and take a walk or just sit still and just listen to the birds and let the breeze when it's not super humid, you know, that really helps. Thank you. Thank you. Um, I am not technology inclined. I am really good with certain things. Like I can problem solve issues with my computer when they're software issues, not hardware issues. I can write and read and I can film. I'm pretty decent with a camera. However, like Photoshop and the fancy stuff for video editing and some of that, I'm not up on all of that. Thank you. um, so I try to use what I have and use what I'm good at. And I still like spend at least 15 minutes. I try to every day learning something new. So sometimes the learn something new is a technique. Sometimes the learn something new has to do with technology. Sometimes the learn something new is a word. Sometimes the learn something new is something completely different. You know, it can be a watercolor technique or a drawing technique or something to do with my writing. But every day I try to spend 10 to 15 minutes learning something new. It's one of my big things. I want to be able to say I've learned something new today. And sometimes the learn something new is about myself. Sometimes I learn something new about me. And it's a journey of self discovery. You know, it's a journey of the creative process. And some days I struggle and some days I don't struggle at all. Some days I'm like, wow, you know, and I'm like plowing through everything. And I feel almost like, you know, like somebody gave me a venti white chocolate at Starbucks with a triple shot of espresso, only I have not had more than my regular cup of coffee. You know, it just really depends. And that's part of the creative process, I think, part of the creative journey. But I realized that one of the big things I had to quit worrying about was what I'm not and start going with what I am and start patting myself on the back for what I have done, what I'm right now doing, and for what I have accomplished and the things that I am good at. And you know, especially when you're talking about going through a really big phase of grief, depression, anxiety, it's been hitting me on and off since last July when my dad's diagnosis became uh, terminal and Mr. Rockstar was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. I've been dealing with a lot the last few months. And it's been a lot of, if you were to fill out one of those quizzes that they give you in psychology class, the stress quiz, and you check off the things you've been through lately, mine would be like off the charts right now because I've been through so much in the past few months. And I know that part of it I've dealt with well, part of it I haven't dealt with well, part of it I'm still dealing with. And throughout all of this, I've been trying to maintain my creative process for things. And some of it's worked and some of it hasn't. And when things aren't working, you need to kind of reset things or revamp things or reevaluate things and change your focus so that you can do things that work, you know, or find out different ways to do things that you know you want to work, but maybe aren't working all that well. So that's where I'm at right now. The coffee chats are still going to be from now on, mostly on Mondays. Hello. Um, you know, I think I've been discovering ways to feel better mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and that's what a lot of this has stemmed from is trying to find copingisms that work well, processes that work well, how to be more organized and efficient and not procrastinate and to but on and off, you know, that struggle, it's going to come and go. When you suffer from depression, you suffer from anxiety, you're going to have moments of self-doubt. You're going to have moments of this or that. And I have been trying to find things that help me work through that better. And with ADHD, I've just been trying to find things that help me focus better because I don't take medication. Medication for this makes the other worse. Medication for that makes this worse. So, how about doing something completely bold and new, like shaving your head? No. You don't want to see me shave my head. Um, I I have naturally very thick curly hair, and the moment it starts to grow, I will have like a fro. Your book for the Oh, Hilma, you didn't have to do that. You did not have to do that. I You didn't have to do that. It's not like I couldn't do the book club later. I'm not stressing over what thank you so much. Thank you. But I mean, my point wasn't to say I couldn't afford it, but so that somebody will buy it. My point is that I think Stars in Your Crown, yes, she is my sweetheart. Hilma is my sweetheart. Um, she is an amazing. One of these days I will have one of her quilts. Hilma is a quilter, and she has, and her daughter is amazingly talented. Her daughter creates purses and all kinds of things. Okay. What is Cindy's book club? Yeah, we do have a troll. I just deleted. I need to figure out how to do a monitor. Report. Harassment. There we go. Okay. So Cindy Gwynthart Baldo, she's a YouTube channel. She's uncensored, y'all. So if you don't like cussing, and she does, she's doing a book. She's opened up a book club. She's Llama's Love Lettering. Is that right? Llama's Love Lettering. I think that it's a tongue twister. Craft a Life You Love by Amy Tangerine. Amy Tangerine came out with the second version of Craft a Life You Love. Last year or the year before, Anna Brim from Mrs. Brimbles, and I want to say Geraldine, Jane, and a few other people did a review of Amy Tangerine's book when it first came out, I think last year or the year before. Thank you, Barbara. Yeah, Llama's Love Book Club. But she's got a Facebook group. Yeah, there are some people don't, but but anyway, you could actually use the hashtag since you're into Instagram that Barbara just left. Hashtag Llama's Love Book Club. And people are doing, they started reading it, I think today or yesterday, the book. And the book is supposed to be really good. And Amy Tangerine, she redid the book. So it's supposed to be even better now. The new version of the book is supposed to be even better now. And that book is right up my alley. And it was on my wish list, but thanks to Hilma, I'll be getting it Thursday. But one of the things I was doing last year for NaNoWriMo was trying to write a book about creativity. And I think I'm going to, right now I'm working on the Witchy Business novel. I think the book club is open. I don't think it's a closed thing. I don't know for sure because I did join her Facebook group recently. That's how I found out about the book club. Was through her Facebook and her video. I watch her videos, but I don't mind the cussing. I was married to somebody in the Navy, and so it's okay to start late because the chapters are really short. Yeah. I've been revamping. That's just why I started Project Self, is trying to get more into having a more creative life on a whole, working on the different aspects of myself, not just my art or not just my writing. Yeah, she has toned down some of the saltiness lately. I like she's honest. I mean, I don't we do this. I cuss. I just don't cuss the way that she cusses. Um, yeah, your military still have boundaries. There are some things that to me are a little TMI, or you know, but it doesn't really bother me. My mom in no way, shape, or form would ever listen to a video like that. Cindy was honest about it, where she said that, her grandmother was really proud of her. She just recently lost her grandmother, but her grandmother didn't like the cussing. And I think that, there are people that I listen to on YouTube or I watch videos by, and every now and again, I think it might do them a world of good to say a cuss word, and then there are other people that maybe cuss too much. But I mean, that's our own personal opinion. Like there are people who won't watch my channel now because I did the video evidently about using tarot in my writing, because I'm open about the fact that I'm an open spiritual person. I don't, I embrace a lot of different things. Um, I think, for whatever reason, like I will tell you, my channel sometimes is PG, because every now and again I do cuss. And every now and again I do talk about things like anxiety and depression, and some of that's probably not appropriate to listen to when, you have your kids around or whatever. But I think, for me, it doesn't bother me. I actually heard way worse. Um, but I don't hear that now, but I don't have to listen to it now. But, I grew up with all boys, and then I was around a whole bunch of sailors, when my ex-husband was in the Navy. And we had a lot of our friends were married couples, and one or the other of them were in the military. And there was quite a lot of cussing. Now, I'm not saying that everybody in the military cusses, because I know a lot of people in the military that don't cuss at all. Um, and I probably have more of a potty mouth than my husband does, and he's a truck driver. So, but I think part of that for me is because I grew up around all boys, and my mom does not like all that cussing. My mom says shit and damn. Those are her words, you know. Um, and that's probably the only cuss words you ever really hear my mom say. So the other ones aren't allowed in her house. So I watch my mouth when I'm around my mom, but I watch my mouth not because my mom doesn't like it so much as that I have respect for my mom, and I know that my mom doesn't like it. So I try really hard not to say things that I know my mom is not okay with. I don't want to upset my mom or disrespect my mom. So I try really hard, because I have some family members who watch my channel, to be respectful, um, but to still be myself. So you'll hear cuss words come out of me every now and again, but I try really hard not to say the what my mom considers to be the really vulgar ones. I do say those in my home. You let me break something, and yeah, that's going to happen. But otherwise, I think it's all a personal preference. I think there are a lot of people who probably don't watch my YouTube videos because they're too chatty, or because I don't have that streamlined background, or because I don't have those minimalistic kind of perfect videos or the thumbnails, or because, of the fact that I like using tarot to write with, or whatever reason. People are going to find just as many reasons not to like you as other people are going to find to like you. We're not everybody's cup of tea or cup of coffee. I love Cindy and I love her videos. There are probably some of the people that I don't watch that y'all watch that I don't watch because some of it just doesn't feel authentic to me. And so there are some channels that I used to watch that I no longer watch because they just don't feel authentic to me. So I've cut back on my social media, and I only watch things that inspire me, that motivate me, that truly resonate with me, or that I can learn from. And yeah, so, I may later go back to watching some of the channels that I used to watch. I haven't unsubscribed to anybody recently. So it's not about like unsubscribing. I just know that at different points in time, what I find to be inspiring and motivating changes based on me. And right now, I think, there are different things. Like what's the one? Like I love some of the DIY videos, like the Do It on a Dime. I love some of her videos. I love some of her videos. So there are a lot of videos like that I'll watch where they show you how to take something for nothing, like where you can buy something from Dollar Tree, or you can buy something from Walmart, or you can buy something that you order, and you can do a IKEA hack or a Pottery Barn hack or whatever. I like that kind of thing. So recently I found myself watching more videos that are more DIY kind of videos, where I can utilize either what I already have, or if I were, say, had 10 extra bucks and could go to Dollar Tree and buy some of those little plastic containers so I can get more of my markers to be horizontal rather than vertical, because you're not really supposed to store some of those markers vertical. So, and I have them, they're over here, back here. Some of them are stored vertically and they really need to be stored horizontally, but I don't have any way to store them horizontally right now. So I've been looking up kind of DIY things. And we do change like the seasons. We do grow and evolve, and I have grown and evolved. And I like where I'm at right now. I like the place that I'm at right now. It took me a long time to get to this place. I had to struggle through a lot to finally, I think, find my real voice. And I'm not changing my YouTube videos. I'm not changing my YouTube videos. I'm going to improve upon. I'm still going to try really hard to do Writer Wednesday videos, like the third Wednesday of every month. I'm going to try to get back on my regular scheduled program with the coffee chats on Monday, and extra video creative kind of videos on Wednesdays, except the third Wednesday of every month. And I'm going to try to get back to journal videos on Fridays and some planner kind of videos on Sunday. Wednesday video could be like where I review a book. It could be where I review something I got like months ago. And I keep getting emails from different people wanting me to review things on YouTube. Some of the things I'm like, no, thank you. And some of the things I'm like, I don't know. Like I could have done affiliate links or whatever for the Arteza watercolor thing that I got. I chose not to, because once I got the product and I tried it, they're okay. They're great for projects and things, but I don't know that I could recommend them. They are very opaque. I just wasn't comfortable doing the affiliate thing for it. I didn't want to do that. So I'm not comfortable doing reviews where people would pay me to do reviews, unless it's something that I would already purchase anyway, or something, like that. I don't know. I'm in that weird spot where I have just enough subscribers that people want to start getting me to do that stuff, but I have just enough subscribers that I know there is no way I will ever review something simply because somebody is willing to pay me to review it if it's not something I would ever buy. I won't do it. So I'm at that weird place, and that was one of the things Mr. Rockstar and I were talking about over this week, is I recently got an email. Somebody wants me to review something. And he said, well, you just answered your own question, because I was telling him about it. And I was like, I just don't. And he said, well, baby, you just answered your own question. So I politely sent an email and said, not at this time, but thank you for the offer. And that's bad, because as much as I know that I could use the extra money, I just can't. In my conscience, I just can't do that kind of thing. Not a weird place to have integrity. Yeah. Now, see, if somebody sent me an email about a product I am curious about that I would buy for myself and then review, I would do a review, whether they paid me or not. Like if somebody wanted to send me something, I would be more than happy to review it. I have gotten prototypes and different things, and I have given honest reviews. The one thing I won't do, though, however, is not give an honest review. There are some notebooks out there I would love to review, like I think it's Code and Quill or something like that, or Ink and Quill or Code and Quill. They have a notebook that one page is dot grid and the other side is lined. I would love to review that notebook. They had a Kickstarter program and now those are for sale. I would love to review. There are quite a few things I would actually love to review. I wish those people who were doing the eyeglass where I could get free eyeglasses, I wish they would contact me. I would do a review of those, and I actually need new glasses. I have to buy glasses anyway. So some of that stuff I would be more than happy to do a review of. But other things, I'm just like, are you kidding me? I have never once mentioned a neck massager or a blah, 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 blah in any of my videos. I mean, I use it's a wet, dry heating pad for my neck when my tendonitis and arthritis get really bad. But I've never mentioned it in a video. Would I buy one of the massagers that will sit in your seat and you could use? Probably. Do I want somebody to send me one where I've already read reviews and the reviews aren't all that great on it? It's like hit or miss. Do I want to do a review on that? I don't think so. I'd rather not have the chair massager, and when I get ready to buy one legitimately, and then, do a review on it so I can give an honest opinion on it. I don't know. I don't feel comfortable doing certain kinds of reviews if it's not something I would normally review, if that makes sense. So, I don't know. And my coffee's gotten cold. It's time for me to get some fresh coffee. Does anybody have any questions? I know I kind of went like on a rant. I'm going to do a blog post about self-sabotaging and creativity. I've already done a video about it before. So I will link the video I did before on self-sabotage and creativity. And I'm going to finish up the blog post I started writing about the topic, because that's what today's coffee chat was going to be about, even though it's Friday and it's not Monday. And I'm sorry that my videos have been my video schedule's been wonky lately. But if you haven't already subscribed to the newsletter, there are several videos in the newsletter that I did do that are coffee chats and that talk about Project Self and a lot of what I've been going through lately. So if you haven't already subscribed to the newsletter, you really ought to, because there are videos in there that you can watch at your leisure. But they're not public on YouTube. They're unlisted. So, but I feel like I'm in a really good place. You wanted to say thank you so much for the newsletter this month. Awesome videos. Thank you. Thank you. They were a sort of time, like you could see the progression. I was really feeling really good and enthusiastic and energetic, and I was and then it hit me. So I thought it was a really good kind of evolution of how things work sometimes, because I pulled myself out of that. And that was a good thing, because I'm in a much better place now. And being back in the Omni Journal, even though I've switched things up again already, the moment that you say, hey, I'm getting this crap together and I'm feeling really good about it, that's the moment. Once you make it public, then you're going to go, oh, wait a minute. And then you're going to you end up changing things. So if I really want to seriously change up how I have something set up, all I got to do is do a video about it. It's a treat when notifications pop up and you did another granny square. There you go. I wish I took more time to crochet. I've got a huge duffel bag of yarn. And I can crochet a little bit. Like I could crochet enough to make a scarf and to make a blanket, but I can't crochet well enough to make myself a hat to match my scarf. And that's what I'd really like, or a hat and a mittens, and I want a quilt. There's a quilting place right down the road from where it's right next door to where my insurance company is, where we pay our car insurance. And they have people that come in and they do quilting. They have sewing machines in there and stuff. And every time I go to pay my insurance, I think about Hilma and her quilts. And I want to so badly take the sewing machine that's in my shed and get it out if I had a place to set it up and relearn how to use that sewing machine because it was my grandmother's, and make myself a quilt. But I'm like, when do I have the time? Because I'm already doing all these other things. I'm like debating, what's more important to me right now. Do I really want to endeavor upon a whole new project? Or do I want to go ahead and finish this book and do the journaling? Because I can't do everything. I want to do all the things. I want to do all of the things. I told David the other day, I want to learn woodworking. And he said, do you know how many tools are involved? Saws and this. And I'm like, I'm just telling you, I would really like to learn some woodworking. He said, okay, baby, we'll see. So, I'm just one of those kind of creative people. I like to dabble in a lot of creative things. And then there are certain things that I love. I just have to rein my focus in. When I get too I have to rein the focus in. And okay, what priorities? No, but one of our really good friends he's a carpenter. And my grandfather was a carpenter. And I think I'm feeling like, I don't know. I used to, as a kid, watch my grandfather do woodworking. And I think that contraption that I built, the wooden contraption you could sit the camera down on, that's really not quite wide enough. I went over to my friend Michael's house. He and his wife helped me build that. And I think with the weather changing, I'm thinking of something. So maybe what I need to do is talk to him and make a new one, a bigger one. And maybe that will curb my woodworking the desire to do woodworking right now. If I can go over there and borrow some tools and spend a day in his workshop with him and just kind of enjoy myself with a little bit of woodworking, and maybe do it like, I don't know, every other month or so while the weather's nice, or maybe once a month, just go spend a day, a couple of hours in his wood workshop with him and his wife and do some staining, some woodworking, something. I love all things creative. And if I had the time and if I could outsource video editing, I would have all kinds of things done. If I could just outsource my video editing, where I didn't have to edit the videos, because that's what takes me the most time. It's not the filming. It's not the journaling. It's not the cleaning of the house. It's the editing of the friggin' videos that takes me so long, and that really tries my patience. So when I get to a point where I can outsource my video editing, y'all will see all kinds of stuff, because I'll actually have a lot more time to do things. So Mr. Rockstar is handy with fixing things. He is one of those people that even as a kid enjoyed taking things apart and putting them back together and making sure it could work. And he's a musician. So he's been writing an instrumental piece for me to use on Patreon for my videos. And he's not done with it yet. He's been working on it for me. So it would be like the intro to my videos on Patreon. And he's been working on that for me. He's a singer and a guitar player. So yeah, that's about it, y'all. Because now I need to go, because I got to film the flip through, because Patreon will get it first and then y'all will get it, and I'm going to show you how I have things set up. And then I'm going to do a journal with me. And that one's going to go on Patreon too. And then Sunday, y'all will get a plan with me. So I'm pretty excited because living a creative life means that I get to use my imagination and I get to delve into all the passions that are mine creatively, like books that I read and the journals and watercolor and hodgepodge of collage and all kinds of stuff. And I get to have fun. My main loves are and have always been writing, reading, and art. Those are the three things I love the most. And that's how I get to live my life, writing, reading, and creating art. And I get to share it. And all of that hopefully inspires somebody else to pick up a pen or a typewriter or a tablet or a keyboard or a paintbrush or something and be creative in some shape or form themselves. So I think it's a wonderful thing. I really do. I'm in a much better headspace. I just know that after taking some time and going through everything, that it's at that I'm at that place where evolving means embracing the authenticity, even when showing up is merely talking about the struggle. When it means that I am honest enough with myself and with y'all to say, hey, look, my anxiety and my OCD and my ADHD are preventing me from continuing in this as an Omni journal, because although the blank pages give me freedom, it's really causing me some anxiety when it comes to this kind of thing. So how about I find a happy medium and I use this for creative stuff, which is what it gave me, is more creativity in my life. It brought back the creativity. So I use it for that. And then I go back to something I hadn't finished and had all of this space in and use this Enigma for that. Thank you, Hilma. So I think it's a good thing. I mean, being honest, I could have just faked, or I could have said later after I did it, and I could have just talked about it a little bit. But I think part of the creative process is being honest about the struggles, and patting myself on the back when I do a good thing. I'm proud of myself for finally realizing it's okay. It's okay to embrace the authenticity and to throw away that perfectionism. I'd rather that quote, I'd rather be authentic than perfect. Well, there's no perfect. And if you got to fake being perfect, that's a lot of work. It's a lot of work I don't have time for that. I'd rather just be me. Y'all have a great one. I have been on here for an hour and a half, y'all. It does not feel like I've been on here for an hour and a half, but my coffee says otherwise since it's cold. So I'm going to go get the camera. I have some day in the life stuff for Patreon of Mr. Victor and Mr. Rockstar cutting the grass and Mr. Rockstar filming me when we went to the store. And, I feel really good. And I have some creative stuff to do and film. So I'm happy. Y'all have a great one. Enjoy you, or to subscribe to the newsletter, please feel free to. All the information is down below. Bye, y'all.